This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It was 15 years ago, police were first tipped off by an informant about a dirty cop helping a drug trafficker. Details we can now share after CBC fought a ban that would have kept search warrant documents secret. They reveal it took until 2024 for Winnipeg police to arrest that officer, now in prison for corruption and other crimes. CBC News has learned concerns about Elston Bostock breaking the law were first raised in 2009. Caitlin Gowerluck has more.
Police say there are 3 convicted drug traffickers in this photo. There's also 1 Winnipeg police officer, Elston Bostock. That photo and this one of him posing at a crime scene are from hundreds of pages of search warrant documents CBC has gotten about the now disgraced constable. Bostock was sentenced in January to 7 years in prison after admitting to years of corruption and other crimes. He's also been removed from the force. We already knew from his sentencing that concerns about him dated back 15 years before his arrest. But search warrant documents shed light on exactly what police knew about Bostock. Those details were under a publication ban, but that ban was lifted after CBC successfully fought it in court. The documents say the first red flag was raised back in 2009, when an informant told police a drug trafficker was being assisted in the sale of drugs by a dirty cop. The informant later confirmed that cop was named Elston, a name police say no other officers had. But without other evidence, that investigation was suspended. Information about Bostock continued to come in after that, sometimes through police sources and in one case through an unrelated wiretap investigation. Police heard about an officer selling and using drugs, sharing police information, and associating with criminals. In 2013, a source told police about an officer named Elston hanging around with drug traffickers who talked about having a cop in their pocket. One of them said it was a great business move to party with a cop, because Elston could provide protection from other dealers, as well as from being popped by the cops. They said if they do get popped, they have dirt on the cop, including proof that he's a dirty cop, because he snorts with them. By 2018, police got enough information about Bostock to try to get permission to record data from his phone. But a judge denied that application, saying she wasn't satisfied there were reasonable grounds. Bostock continued to serve on the force until he was arrested in 2024. The search warrant documents also describe more than a dozen items police seized from Bostock's home, including someone's private journal and a box of Ozempic, apparently taken from 2 deaths police responded to. 3 other officers were also charged alongside Bostock for a variety of offenses that police say happened while they were partnered with Bostock. 1 has pleaded guilty, while the other 2 are still before the courts. Caitlin Gowerluck, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A man charged in the decades-old cold case of Crystal Saunders has pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He was arrested after an elaborate undercover police sting operation. But the victim's mom says her family has been robbed of justice after prosecutors made a plea deal on lesser charges. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
No, I didn't think it would end like this because
Sandra Saunders stood outside the law courts Monday fighting back tears and calling for changes to the justice system. She's angry the man who killed her daughter, Crystal Saunders, pleaded guilty to a lesser charge than the one he was originally given.
I was heartbroken. Yeah. I was heartbroken because anybody that kills people out there, they're predators, they're evil, they should go to jail for life, man. You're taking somebody's life. You can't give that life back to somebody.
Crystal Saunders was 24 when she was killed. Her body was found in a ditch near St. Ambrose in 2007. The case remained unsolved for years until a DNA match linked Kevin Q to the homicide. According to an agreed statement of facts, RCMP charged the man in 2024 after he admitted to the killing during an operation known as a Mr. Big Sting. The technique involves undercover officers befriending a suspect. Q was originally charged with second-degree murder. On Friday, he pleaded guilty to manslaughter.
It's all about my daughter, Crystal. It has nothing to do with me, and it just has to do with Crystal and other families out there, you know, just to show them that there is true justice out there, but there is no true justice. You know, like I feel like I got stomped in the head, you know?
Amara Leclerc is the family support coordinator with the Infinity Women's Secretariat. She says it's a disappointing outcome for families and doesn't help them find a sense of justice.
As far as I can tell, like, this is going to be a hard road for Sandra and for any other family who's been watching this and following this and who might be concerned about what's going to happen in the future if this happens again, because there's a lot of unidentified killers out there still.
Q is expected to be back in court Thursday, and lawyers will recommend a 12-year sentence minus enhanced credit for time served. That's when more details are also expected to be shared about why prosecutors agreed to the plea deal. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The family of a man accused of killing his mother when he was a teen cheered in court today after a judge issued a stay of proceedings in the case. The 23-year-old accused cannot be identified because he was 16 at the time. The judge's decision comes after the Crown's cross-examination of the accused, which he said set a calculated trap to deliberately manufacture a motive. He went on to say it was not a fair trial. A stay of proceedings means charges have been dismissed and can't be retried. He says the prosecution's unfair cross-examination of the 23-year-old amounted to Crown misconduct.
It wasn't a fair trial, so because it wasn't a fair trial, it wasn't right that the jury come to a verdict, just in case the unfairness caused them to come to the wrong verdict.
The Crown does have 30 days to appeal the stay of proceedings. Well, it's that time of year again. Snowbanks are melting and starting to clear, but in some areas, the meltdown comes with pooling water and flooding. The city says crews are working around the clock to clear drains. But as the CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco shows us, some residents are having to take matters into their own hands.
As winter fades into spring, Garashi Singh's back lane turned into a puddle that sat stagnant for days.
It was as if I was living in a sewer. The only reason is because the people from the city or whoever the contractors are, they didn't come to clean the back lane, and the sewer head was covered with ice.
Water started pooling early last week. Singh wasn't able to unclog the drain, so he called 311 and was put on a queue. The city said the issue should be resolved by the end of the month.
Rather than waiting till 30th March, I let's do it and let's get rid of it. Let's get back to our business. And that's what we did.
Singh and another neighbor waded in and broke the ice around the drain. He says it took them at least an hour to unclog it.
I thought that if I don't do it now, no one will do it.
The city says they are focused on clearing snow and ice where there is risk to properties. Waverly West Councillor Janice Luke says extra crews and steamers are dealing with frozen drains, but with so many of them, the help of residents is also welcomed.
Residents, if they wanted to, could have gone out and opened up their drain. I totally realize not everyone can do that, and when the drain is plugged and it's designed or it's built like this, it will fill up.
That's how Tyler Crichton spent his Saturday. He and a group of friends drove around St. James, removing the ice from at least 6 drains.
You know, the city could do a better job at it, right? But at the same time, it takes a community to come together and take care of it, right? So there's a balance there for sure.
As for Singh, he is prepared to take matters in his own hands again.
Would I be comfortable calling the 311 or contacting someone who's my representative to get rid of this thing? I don't think so. I think I know that I need to put my shoes on, my pants on, and need to break this.
Still, he's hopeful the city will be more diligent, so the warmer weather doesn't spring another flood on him. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, let's bring in Riley Lachuk now. And Riley, those back lanes in many parts of the city are really treacherous right now, because if they didn't fill up with water, they're now stuck with real thick ice in some areas.
Mine has a bit of both. It's got the real thick ruts and also a lake at the end of it. So I don't know if I'm doing well here. This is all because of where we've gone temperature-wise. And you know what? This up and down unsettled trend continues. So we are looking at things cooling down middle of the week across much of southern Manitoba. And then we get this big surge in temperatures to end the month. So that's going to mean another big melt coming as we get toward the end of the month here. So just prepare for this up and down to continue. What we've seen weather-wise across the province today is an Alberta clipper over northeastern Manitoba. The warm front associated with that triggering some showers, some flurries. I had reports of even some ice pellets and some mixed precipitation in the city today. On the backside of this, some slightly cooler air as we head into the overnight hours. So minus double digits again, minus 11 in Winnipeg. We'll get some clearing along with that as that cold front comes through. Then as we get through the day tomorrow, things starting to warm up once again, looking at clouds building back in through the afternoon. At the freezing mark tomorrow, there's another couple of clippers coming as we get through the next few days here. Brittany, we'll go into details when I come back.
The dreaded word, clippers. Yes. All right. Thanks, Riley. He falsified invoices and admitted to making up the numbers. The latest from one Winnipeg contractor's testimony inside an inquiry. We'll have more on that after the break. The Manitoba budget is set to be released on Tuesday, and we have a sneak peek at one promise. The government says cardiac care at St. Boniface Hospital will be expanded. CBC's Ian Fraze joins us from the newsroom. And Ian, what does the government have in store?
$22 million, Brittany, to make St. Boniface a cardiac center of excellence. This is one of the NDP's promises from the 2023 election campaign. The new funding will create 18 additional beds, an assessment unit so patients with heart issues can be moved out of the waiting room and into care faster, and a cardiologist will be placed in the ER to assess patients quickly. Dr. Anita Soni says St. Boniface already specializes in heart care, but around 5 years ago, it lost its status as the provincial hub.
The oversight of who's really looking after the entire province, who's looking after how long it takes people to come from northern communities to Winnipeg, who needs to come, it wasn't clearly defined.
She's looking forward to St. Boniface resuming that role.
And on a somber note, MLAs are paying tribute to Amanda Laughlin. The 49-year-old MLA died on Saturday. So, Ian, people may remember she stepped away from her legislative duties in February due to health complications.
That's right, an emotional tribute to the MLA from the Cami Sac. As you can see right around here, Premier Wabkanu draping a Manitoba flag over her empty seat, a bouquet of flowers and her photo placed on her desk. A little later, her family speaking with the Premier alongside Amanda's granddaughter. She had just become a grandmother a few weeks ago. Now, Canoe said, as an MLA, Laughlin championed better supports for child survivors of sexual abuse in the North, as well as compassionate leave for women who have miscarried.
The personal was the political for Amanda Laughlin, and then how her coming from a Northern and a First Nations woman and just her own unique way of life contributed to making this esteemed chamber and this legislature stronger.
Canoe also recognized Laughlin's father, Oscar, an MLA who died in office in 2008. The Premier ended his speech telling the story of finding a pair of Amanda's moccasins in his house after a recent caucus Christmas party.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Tell your dad, Oscar, that we miss him, and I'll hang on to those moccasins for you in case you need them.
Laughlin was first elected in 2015. She was the first First Nations woman to serve in Manitoba's legislature. Brittany.
All right, thank you. That's CBC's Ian Fraze. The owner of Caspian Construction told Winnipeg's police headquarters inquiry he falsified hundreds of invoices he submitted to the city. Armic Babakanian nonetheless denies overbilling the city on the project. CBC's Bartley Kivas reports.
In his second round of testimony before the Winnipeg Police Headquarters inquiry, Caspian Construction owner Armic Babakanian said he altered thousands of invoices on the Police HQ project. Babakanian said he did this to line up progress claims with the project budget. Under questioning from his lawyer, he now says that was wrong.
You agree that the actions by you and your staff to create invoices to support your Caspian invoices was wrong?
I believe it was, and I'm disappointed. We actually let it go that far.
This admission comes after weeks of testimony at this inquiry about project invoices. A forensic accountant testified Caspian made $45 to $50 million worth of excess claims. Babakanian, however, says he didn't overcharge the city.
There's been some evidence given by experts in this proceeding, Armic, that by their calculations, you overcharged by just over $40 million. What's your response to that?
Where is that money? I could use it right now.
He certainly could. He owes the city of Winnipeg $23 million to settle a city lawsuit over fraud, forgery, and deficiencies at the police HQ. That money is due Monday, or the settlement goes up by $5 million. Babakanian was asked why settle if he didn't do anything wrong.
It was a commercial decision, but also a family decision. It just tore our family apart.
More Caspian officials are slated to testify this week as the months-long inquiry reaches its halfway point. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Nova Scotia teenager has agreed to stay in jail for another month while awaiting a bail hearing on charges of uttering threats and conspiracy to commit murder, The 15-year-old is accused of conspiring with a 14-year-old Manitoba boy to launch simultaneous attacks on their respective high schools in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia, and here in Rivers, Manitoba. After the Bridgewater teen was arrested, a search of his home turned up handwritten plans and imitation weapons. The teen appeared in court Monday for a bail hearing, but a new hearing will now happen next month. All right, Riley back in now. We are into our first full week of spring and really a mixed bag that looks a lot like what we've seen this winter.
Yeah, this winter, and you know what? It's as we go through this change of the seasons, Brittany, we're into the up and down, things remaining unsettled, and really that's the story for the week. I'm probably going to get a little bored of talking about how unsettled it is by the time we get to the end of the week, but this is all because of where our upper level wind sits. So there's a fairly large area of high pressure still remaining off the U.S. southwest coast, and that's amplifying the jet stream on the western side of our province. So it's pushing that storm track through the central prairies and across central and southern Manitoba. So that's where all of these clippers, as they form over the Rockies, just kind of follow that storm track right through central parts of the province. And really that's going to be our story for the week ahead here. So there is some higher pressure that's starting to build into northern Manitoba. That's going to cool things down considerably as we get into the morning hours tomorrow. Bit of clearing happens in behind this cold front and this warm front associated with clipper number 1 that pushed through. But there's another couple of these coming as we get through the rest of the week here. So this cold front maybe kicks up a bit of cloud cover as we get through the overnight hours. Doesn't do much to temperatures, although it does pull things back slightly below seasonal through the overnight hours. Sunny in northern Manitoba for the most part. Another weak one pushes across the province as we get through later Tuesday. This could bring us a few flurries or some rain showers into the evening hours Tuesday into Wednesday, but the more potent one comes through clipper-wise into the day on Wednesday. Now, the low itself sinks south of the border, but we'll get some of that snow as we get through the afternoon hours into the early evening across southern and central Manitoba again. And then I think things start to get a bit more on the stable side as we head through the back half of the work week. So snowfall-wise, accumulations at least through central Manitoba. This is where we're looking at a pretty broad 5 to 10, maybe up to 15 centimeters, particularly in those higher elevations around the Duck, the Porcupine Mountains. But really through the Interlake into the Red River Valley, this is a quick 2 to 4 centimeters as we get through the next couple of days here. So just prepare for things to be slightly unsettled as we get through the next 48 hours or so, pretty generally across southern and central Manitoba. Northern Manitoba, the story is about the cold. So waking up to minus 32s for Thompson and Gillam, minus 31 in Churchill. Along the Hudson Bay coast, this is where we could run into wind chill values close to minus 47 or minus 48 once again first thing in the morning. A totally different story in the south. Up to minus 4 first thing in the morning through Melita, looking at 0 through the afternoon for Winnipeg, and temperatures dipping slightly below seasonal as we head into the back half of the week.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
And here's a look at the Red River from Lord Roberts as we head to break. We've got much more straight ahead. Stay with us. 2 Air Canada pilots are dead after an overnight collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The express jet from Montreal crashed into a fire truck during landing. Katie Nicholson has the details and a warning. Viewers might find some of the video disturbing.
The mangled wreckage tells part of the story, the nose sheared off. The collision between an Air Canada Jazz flight and a fire truck killed the 2 pilots and injured more than 40 people, including 2 firefighters.
We were honestly sleeping and then landing, and all of a sudden, boom, woke up in shock, just didn't know what to do.
We went down for a regular landing, and we came in pretty hard. We immediately hit something, and it was just chaos in there.
One of our friends was several rows back from us, and we walked past him on the way out because he was trying to find his glasses, and his nose was totally broken, bleeding on his face.
The fire truck had been dispatched to another plane, which had reported a strange odor, but ended up in the path of the Canadian jet.
Stop, truck 1. Stop. Stop, truck 1. Stop.
From air traffic control, 3 words that will no doubt play heavily in the investigation.
I messed up.
Exactly how this unfolded and what led up to this tragedy now under the microscope as Canadian and American transportation officials comb over the evidence. The Transportation Secretary faced questions about how well staffed LaGuardia's air traffic control tower is. Chronic shortages have plagued America's airports.
This airport has a target of 37 controllers at LaGuardia. We have 33 controllers employed, certified at LaGuardia, and we have 7 actually that are in training. So as our airports go, LaGuardia is a very well-staffed airport.
Things are returning to normal at LaGuardia. Some flights have taken off, but the Transportation Secretary warns it will be operating at a reduced capacity as long as the wreckage remains on site for the investigation. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, New York.
Immigration officers in tactical gear are on the job at some busy airports in the U.S. Deployed during a partial government shutdown, the officers are there to help manage long security lines. The ICE agents haven't been arresting passengers or screening them, but some travelers say their presence is unsettling. Many Transportation Security Administration employees have been absent recently, having not been paid in weeks. Funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees the TSA, ended last month. Democrats refused to fund ICE and Customs and Border Protection without changes to their operations. That came after 2 American citizens died during altercations with ICE agents. Donald Trump says the U.S. and Iran have held talks about, quote, the complete and total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East. But Iran says there haven't been any talks. Now, as the war enters its 4th week, it's hard to know what the truth is or what lies ahead. Sasha Petrusik has more.
Just hours before Donald Trump's deadline was set to kick in, hours before he'd promised to attack Iran and destroy its power-generating infrastructure, Trump issued a couple of statements which seemed to change all that. He said that over the last couple of days, there were very good and productive conversations between the U.S. and Iran, and that raised the possibility of the total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East. And as a result, those attacks would be put on hold for 5 days, and the talks would continue. Now, U.S. media is quoting government officials there as saying that there had been indirect conversations, talks between the U.S. and Iran using mediators from Turkey, from Egypt, and from Pakistan, and that's how we got to this stage. Now, Iranian media, the government news agencies, are reporting that officials there are saying there have been no talks, either direct or indirect, and that the U.S. is just simply responding to Iranian threats of their own if, in fact, the U.S. did attack. Iran had said that if the attack went ahead, that if the U.S. did up its military action against Iran, that it would entirely close the Strait of Hormuz and that it would send missiles out targeting its neighbors in the Gulf states even more than they have so far. The U.S. had said that Iran had to open the Strait of Hormuz, otherwise it would go ahead with those attacks. So there's been a lot of back and forth on this, a lot of confusion also from Donald Trump, because he's issued actually conflicting statements over the last 2 days. Some suggesting that this U.S. military action, the war, was actually winding down, and others threatening Iran even more with these various attacks and sending Marines on ships sailing toward the region, suggesting some kind of a ground operation there to go ahead with the air and naval operation. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Jerusalem.
In what the British Prime Minister is calling a deeply shocking anti-Semitic arson attack, 4 ambulances belonging to a Jewish charity were set on fire overnight in London. Authorities say oxygen cylinders on the vehicles exploded, shattering windows in a nearby building. Security footage showed 3 people in hooded jackets approaching before the ambulances were engulfed in flames. No injuries were reported and no arrests have been made, but a group described as an Iran-aligned collective claimed responsibility online. That claim has not been confirmed. Canada's Auditor General is sounding an alarm about international student program. An audit shows that many visa holders may not be complying with the terms of their study permits, and the Immigration Department doesn't have the resources to investigate the vast majority. Rafi Boudjikanian looks at why that's happening and what it could mean.
Thank you and welcome to the National Press Theatre.
What's concerning for me is that the department isn't acting on the information that it has.
It's been 2 years Ottawa started its crackdown on international student admissions. Now the Auditor General says though the Immigration Department is finding potential fraud, it's rarely following through.
Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada reduced the number of new study permits issued, but fell short in other key areas.
Karen Hogan found some 800 students between 2018 and 2023 were approved for permits with bogus documents or after providing misinformation. About half of them able to stay by applying for other immigration permits. In 2023 and 2024, some 150,000 cases of potential fraud were flagged, but the IRCC only investigated 2,000 of them per year due to lack of funding, it said.
Closing a file because a student stops communicating with you is not uncovering whether or not they are actually following the conditions of their permit. Their powers can be something as simple as putting a warning on a file, so that the next time the individual applies for something, you can apply more rigor at that point.
Oral questions. Questions orales.
What a dumpster fire. Is the minister content putting fraudsters in the driver's seat of Canada's immigration system?
Thank you for that member's performance there. With regards to the Auditor General, we welcome that report and we agree that strong oversight helps improve the international student program. We will improve how cases are flagged and prioritized and will consistently follow up on potentially non-compliant students.
The minister also says their department's focused on identifying organizers of coordinated fraud, but she would not specify whether the IRCC is dedicating more funding to those efforts. Rafi Boudjikanian on CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, Manitoba is working towards its first supervised consumption site. Alberta is shutting down 2 more of its sites. The sites allow people to take illegal hard drugs under a watchful eye. It's a way to reduce deaths from overdose or toxic supply. It's not the only province taking such measures. Sam Sampson takes us to an Alberta community that lost its site a year ago to see what the impact's been.
Helping them inject drugs is not helping people. That's putting poison into their arms.
Alberta's stance on addiction is clear. Harm reduction hurts, recovery heals. The province is closing supervised consumption sites in Lethbridge and Calgary, instead funding treatment and detox centers, which it says will increase public safety.
People within the community that have a right to walk down the street and not inhale secondhand crystal meth smoke.
The province has closed other sites, including in Red Deer a year ago. A government-funded study published in a peer-reviewed journal suggests there's been no statistically detectable increase in opioid-related deaths since that site closed, though it says its results are inconclusive.
We have one study that is standing in contrast to a large body of research that shows that these sites are helpful, and I don't think it's ever wise to make policy decisions of this magnitude based on a single study.
Those working in addiction services stress the need for options.
There's more investment into recovery beds, that's great too, but it shouldn't come at the cost of the services that are the entryway into that programming either. I think we need the full spectrum.
What should people in Lethbridge and Calgary be prepared for now that these sites are closing?
I think they should definitely be prepared for increased public drug use. Removing services won't change whether or not people are going to use drugs. They have to become more creative and more discreet in how they're going to be doing that.
Ontario also recently cut funding to supervised consumption sites. Without staff to test drugs, critics warn of consequences.
The drug supply keeps changing. They can change in Ontario at a blink of an eye. And you might see spike in overdoses. So again, having these sites is very helpful and crucial to mitigate some of these changes that often do happen.
Alberta's changes leave the province with 3 supervised consumption sites, including 2 in Edmonton. All sites, the province says, are under review. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
Navigating mental health. ATVs aren't typical tools in therapy, but for these men, these machines have become their main medium. We'll have more on that after the break. Hills, water, and mud. It's challenging terrain to get through, much like dealing with mental health. But for this group, the two go hand in hand. It's called Cowboys Mud Racing. A rural Manitoba group uses unconventional methods to help men open up about their mental health struggles. CBC's Jura McElraith shows you how it works.
Hey, line it up. ATVs aren't typical therapy tools, but for Cowboys Mud Racing, the machines are the main medium. Founder Ryan Ward learned the power of the outdoors through his own struggles with mental health. Ward suffered a severe brain injury in a motorcycle accident. Cowboys Mud Racing is a place for men to find peer support and build confidence on the trail.
It's very humbling to know that through the power of my story, we are helping other men change who they are and helping them to realize that no matter what they're going through, no matter what they're dealing with, they can get through it. Change is possible.
After relearning to walk and talk, Ward applied to work on Brian Brown's farm. Brown noticed Ward's hesitation to get on the quad, to check fields, and worked with him through his fear. Brown says he loves listening to others and offering advice if that's what they need. Often, being out in nature helps people open up.
If they're relaxed, they might talk, start talking, and their problems might start coming out. So it gives them a release.
A typical ride can lead men through mud, water, muskeg, hills, and hard-packed trails. Through merchandise sales, the group raises money for Thrive Community Support Circle in Winnipeg. Jessica Smith says having peer support for men like this is crucial.
It's just normalizing. Life has its ups and downs, and there's a way out. There are supports out there.
Often, a lot of stigma surrounds men's mental health issues. Ward feels it's not talked about enough.
Because men, we need to be able to cry. We need to be able to get angry. We need to be able to sometimes just yell and let it out. And unfortunately, due to our upbringings, most of our upbringings, we haven't been able to do that.
Ward says the time of being told to be a man or walk it off is over. He and Brown want the group to ride beyond its current chapters in Manitoba and Alberta going into their second year. Jura McElraith, CBC News, near St. Pierre-Jolie.
Thousands of hockey fans packed Canada Life Centre last night for the first ever professional women's hockey league game in Winnipeg. And many are hoping it's not the last time they'll get to see pro women's hockey in the city. They're vying for something permanent. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
Canada Life Centre was the place to be Sunday night as the Professional Women's Hockey League rolled into town for the first time ever.
We're really excited. It's so cool to be seeing these female hockey players. Personally, being female hockey players, it's awesome to see.
Fans came to the game between the Montreal Victoire and Ottawa Charge with a message.
I've traveled to see a PWHL game. I went to Minneapolis. We need a team here. Women's sports are just amazing.
I think they would love to be able to have an option. If they didn't want to go to a Jets game, they can watch, their favorite players playing in the Professional Women's League here.
Just look around, everybody's here. Kids, families, people of all gender sizes and diversities are here. We love women's sports. We need a team.
We should have a team here in Winnipeg just because the men's have one, so we should let the women's have one also.
The PWHL added new teams in Seattle and Vancouver this season. Up to 4 teams could be added next season. Jana Hefford is the league's Executive Vice President of Hockey Operations. She says the league continues to evaluate potential locations for future teams.
Takeover tour games are a really great indicator for us. There's a lot of metrics we get out of it beyond just how many people buy tickets. So it's a really important part of the process to evaluate a market, to have a game, and to really get to understand with the fans a bit better.
Sunday's game also featured 2 Manitoba-born players, Katie Tabin from Winnipeg and Jocelyn Larocque from St. Anne. Both players see the value of Winnipeg having a team.
Winnipeg's a great community. I think it'd be a great spot. There's so much hockey love here in the city. So yeah, it'd be a great one.
Geographically, it makes a lot of sense. We're right central in North America and in Canada, but I think this city just loves hockey, and the fact that this city doesn't have a pro women's sports team at all, I think hockey would be a great first one.
Sunday's game at Canada Life Centre was sold out with over 15,000 fans in attendance. They hope it will go a long way in helping professional women's hockey find a permanent home in Winnipeg. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Riley's back in now, and after that game this weekend, a lot of people crossing their fingers and toes that maybe Winnipeg could see a women's pro hockey team. I'd also love to know what people's ideas for a potential name would be.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? So let us know if you have an idea.
Something to do with an Alberta Clipper or Colorado Low. How about that?
Because we got one of those coming.
Exactly. We've got a couple of Clippers coming as we get through the next couple of days, Brittany. Let's start with the dog walking forecast. Bit of a chilly one to start the day tomorrow. We're looking at temperatures back into the minus double digits, which is, if you're checking the book here, below seasonal now for this time of the year as we head into the end of March. Okay, tonight we have Kenji, and how could you go wrong with a smile like that? An Akita Husky Shepherd mix, who, as you can tell, is a big baby at heart. Thank you, Jen and Jesse, for this picture. Please keep sending yours to talkback@cbc.ca. So it could be a bit breezy first thing in the morning, looking at a mix of sun and clouds. But as we get through the back half of the day, you'll see that cloud cover starting to build back in as we get into the afternoon hours. Looking at an afternoon temperature in Winnipeg around the freezing mark, we might squeeze a 1 out of that by the time we get into the early evening, but we'll see how far we get. As for today, 2 degrees in Winnipeg, as expected through the afternoon today, 5 degrees in Winkler, 6 in Melita, and you can really see where the jet stream cuts across parts of central and northern Manitoba with some of that warmer air to the south and some of that very cold air into northern parts of the province. And what that warm air has done to our snowpack in the past week even has really minimalized it really right anywhere south of the Trans-Canada. In fact, some parts along Highway 2, there's no snow anymore. So that's how much things can change in a week when we have temperatures dancing with the freezing mark like that, and still some very healthy snow into parts of northern Manitoba, which has also been needing the precipitation as well. So good to see some precipitation in parts of the province, a bit more coming as we get through the next couple of days here. Overnight temperatures around -6 to -8 through Westman, -11s through Dauphin, into Roblin, and looking at things even into the minus teens for parts of the Interlake. Partly cloudy skies overnight. We'll get a bit of clearing through the south. In northern Manitoba, cloud starts to build in overnight. Still -20 overnight in the Pas and OCN, -34 in Thompson and Gillam, -37 in Shamattawa. This is where we're looking at extreme wind chills as we get into the early morning with that high pressure in place. And that will lead to mainly sunny skies across much of the north. However, the Pas, OCN, Grand Rapids, 2 to 4 centimeters as this next clipper pushes through. More like periods of light snow in Thompson, -14 through the afternoon hours. It's a quick one, so even by the afternoon, that one is out of the way. And for southern Manitoba, parts of the Swan Valley and the Parkland will see some of that light snow, even parts of the Interlake as we get through the afternoon. And Brittany, we're looking at temperatures dancing around or just below or just above the freezing mark as we get through the day.
All right, thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Fishing enthusiasts of all ages and skills flocked to Fort White Alive for the 5th annual Ice Fishing Festival. The event is aimed to teach people new skills at no cost and help them reel in their first catch, all while hopefully getting hooked on the sport. CBC's Gavin Axelrod was there.
Rain and wind didn't stop people from heading to Fort White for a day of fishing on Saturday. The 5th annual Ice Fishing Festival helped budding anglers learn new skills and try to land their first catch. Chris Benson with the Manitoba Wildlife Federation helped organize the event.
I love families coming out and enjoying the day with us. It's all about recruiting that next generation.
Like 5-year-olds Elsie and Beckett Hegerud.
I didn't try fishing yet, so this is my first time too.
What do you think?
It's good. Because we really want to try. We never did it before.
Safe to say, they were hooked.
Like, I really want to catch a shark.
You won't catch one of those here, but you might find one of these. Others, though, weren't having as much luck.
There's a fish. Maybe it's sleepy.
Still, a good day for these newcomers who moved from China to Winnipeg.
I like fishing. So this is my first time to come here, go fishing. I like this place.
This is our first winter here. Yeah, so I feel this culture. Yeah, Canada culture.
There were even some experienced fishers who wanted to get in on the action.
Dad, he used to tell us all those stories back in the 80s and 90s about how awful it was. So I was like, there's no way it's that bad, right? Because a lot of people go out with their family and friends and do it every year. So I saw this post online and I was like, hey, it seems like a pretty good deal to go out and try it, for free at least. So here I am.
And parents wanting to share their own passion.
I just have fond memories of fishing as a kid with my dad, and I figured I'd pass that on to them.
Hoping to reel them in with spring and summer just around the corner. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Still ahead, first a street, now a plow? Why a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber is scoring another honor. We'll have more on that after the break. All right, it's time to start making plans for summer. Late last week, the province announced the opening dates for camping reservations. Bookings for this season will open on Tuesday, April 13th, starting with cabins, yurts, and group use areas. Then the next day, you can book campsites at Birds Hill, Winnipeg Beach, and Grand Beach. On the 15th, Whiteshell Provincial Park. Campsite bookings in northern and western region campgrounds open on the 16th. And on the 17th, all remaining campground locations will be available to book.
See, if you're sick of the freeze thaw, there's something to maybe brighten things up as we head into spring. All right, looking at your 7-day and the freeze thaw continuing, things remaining unsettled. So clouds build in across the south as we get through the day. Tomorrow, 0 in Winnipeg. Another clipper rolls through as we get through Wednesday. This one carrying a bit more moisture with it into southern parts of the province. So -2 by the afternoon on Wednesday, then dropping to -6 with maybe a few flurries in the morning on Thursday. Then we turn the page once again. We get a bit more sunshine back. Up to the freezing mark as we get through the day on Saturday, up to 4 degrees as we get into Sunday, and there's the eyes on Monday there at +7. Former Winnipeg Blue Bomber Milt Stegall says Winnipeg has found ways to honor him for decades, but a snowplow named after him wasn't on his bucket list.
Who wants a key to the city when you can get the keys to the snowplow? Here's your Daily Lift.
This may be faster than Milt Stegall right now.
Mayor Scott Gillingham introduced Milt Stegall to Melt Stegall on Sunday. The name referencing the retired bomber is one of the winners of the city's first snowplow naming contest.
The contest was launched earlier this year. 12 winning submissions were chosen by thousands of Winnipeggers.
And little things like this mean so much. It just lets me know how much love I have in this city and how grateful I am for it. You know, I don't take anything for granted regardless of what it is, because this is a special place for me. Some people think I'm Canadian. I think I'm from Winnipeg because there's so much love here. So I hold it near and dear to my heart. It's very special to me. This is a special place, and it will always be that way for me.
Honorary Winnipegger. The snow clearing equipment will keep the new names until the next contest.
And he's even got a jersey to go with it.
Right? I love it. I do wish that one of them had have gotten Taylor Drift.
Yeah.
That had my vote.
Yeah, or Colorado Snow. I think that was my pick.
Right?
No one liked it.
Oh, well. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.